Hello everyone, I'm Vale. I make vlogs about sewing and about living abroad in Colombia, and today we're going to be making an outfit for the Rosalia concert in Bogota. Okay, so Rosalia has a new album out. It came out a few months ago. I'm pretty sure that if you are a fan of that genre of music, you've heard of it. It is called Lux. It is phenomenal. It's a masterpiece. Like, there's really no other way to describe it. I think that, like, Rosalia is a conflicting figure, and I understand. And also, she puts out great music. Like, she puts out great art. And this album has this sort of, Roman Catholic feel, if you will. Like, if you look at the album images, if you look at the way that she has staged her looks in her concert, and the way she's been dressing in the media in the last couple of months, the music videos for the songs, the name of the songs, the style of music that is brought in, the languages, it's very sort of iconography, Roman Catholic iconography, if you will. So that is the kind of feel that you will see when people are getting dressed for her concert. So you'll see a lot of lace, you see a lot of gold, you see people also in black, which is also very interesting, as the sort of like Roman Catholic widow of it all, and like kind of how that in itself has become part of our understanding of Catholicism, particularly in the Latino community, with like just funerals and death and loss. Anyways, all of that to say that we're trying to find something that kind of speaks to the style of this album, to the message of the album, to the way that Rosalia has chosen to present the album out in the world. So let's talk about inspiration. I definitely started down the thinking that I might do something involving white lace or like black lace, maybe something sort of similar to what I'm seeing at her concerts online, because she's already done a large part of the North American tour and has been, across New York, LA. I have several friends who've gone, so I feel like, you can kind of see what the themes are in her concert. I would say that you might see things that look maybe referential to Dolce, right? Like Dolce & Gabbana. I went to an exhibition in Miami recently, and it just kind of was surprising how much of like the sort of Pope-like style finds their way into this designer house. And I would say that this kind of may be very on theme for this particular concert. And I say Dolce because I'm also working through my stash. So even though I kind of wanted to feel like that Roman Catholic iconography, that Spanish sort of Catholicism in a way, I also am working through my stash. So I've been in the middle of a summer sewing series where I'm just kind of working through the fabrics that are in my stash, and so I don't want to buy anything. And I feel like that's definitely been the biggest barrier for me here, because ordinarily I would just go get some fabric and get something that felt like very on theme, like white lace is probably, or like a cream lace is probably the direction I would have taken this, and then I also would have been able to choose like the perfect pattern for it, etc., right? However, I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy fabric while I'm in the middle of this, because I do want my next batch of fabric to be a little bit maybe more representative of like the style I'm trying to develop. And the things at the bottom of my stash are things that I'm like, I don't know why I picked this up. So anyways, these are all the barriers that I'm working with. But given all of those sort of, ideas at the same time, I do think I have something that works really well. And it is this fabric that I have. I don't even remember when I bought this. I actually do think I bought this when right when I took my first sewing class. So I didn't even know how to I had just learned how to thread the machine, and I was like, I'm picking this up. Like, I'm going to make something. It's just been sitting in my fabric stash since. Anyways, I think it really works. It's got lace. It's definitely more of a maximalist look. But, I mentioned this in another video, which is that like I was in Mexico City, and it's like Mexico City is such a reminder of Latino maximalism. And I know Rosalia is not Latina, right? But, I am Latina anyways. And given all of that, I think that I do feel really inspired by this fabric, because I'm like, okay, it is hitting all of the buckets. It's just like way louder. And I'm like, I kind of love that. Like, I feel like maybe it's Mexico and like the sort of like Mexican surrealism, or like maybe it's even Mexican magical realism. I don't know what you would call it, but I feel like Mexico feels like that, where it's like still very anchored in this sort of like religion, and the constraints of that on a society in the way that maybe you see in Colombia and in other countries as well. But also very weird, like, and very like colorful, and like also like the veil is thin between like maybe like stricter religion and like a more magical form of seeing the world. And so all that to say that I'm like super drawn to that kind of like color, explosion of color. So this fabric, very cool, very inspiring. Okay, given all of that, now let's talk about what I'm gonna make with this. Okay, here's where like I have been stuck, right? I'm like, oh, I've been pondering. No, I've just been stuck. I feel like one option is to make something that is like just for the concert. Like it really would be like a corset, a skirt, and a veil, right? And I think that this could be like a really cool veil. I think that that is kind of like an outfit that you just make for the pictures, because first of all, when am I going to wear that again? Okay. And then two, like, it's Bogota. It's cold. Like, it's cold as hell. I'm gonna go to a corset and a skirt and a veil. Like, I'm gonna like get pneumonia. Like, I'm like legitimately gonna get pneumonia. So I'm like, okay, like I need to be maybe a little bit smarter about that. And so my other option, which is I think the option I'm gonna go with, well, it is the option I'm gonna go with, is to make the KS Garner Stella dress. And this is like a dress for organza, but I've also seen her use like an embroidered fabric for something like this before. So like I know it can be done. It's just like a large, oversized dress. And what I like about it is like it's usually the styling also makes it come to life a little bit. So this is kind of see-through. It's not like the most see-through fabric, so I don't think it's too scandalous, but it is kind of see-through, you see? So I'm like, okay, that could be really cute because I could wear like a nice cute little bralette and then like a pair of tights, like really, really opaque tights. And here, let me show you the inspo of, I think that this is like the founder of Selkie. I follow her on Instagram and she's done something like this before. Now granted, she did it with like a cotton that was like very, very sheer, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm thinking of like I can wear a bralette and like a pair of opaque tights and then this and super cute and just like a really bold lipstick and just like gold jewelry, or fake gold jewelry, costume jewelry. And that could be really, really cute. And then I could also, if it's really cold that day, I could wear like a sheer long sleeve. I could have a sheer like black long sleeve and I could wear that under it. And then it could be like a little warmer, right? Like it's still gonna be a little cold, but like that with tights and like boots, like I just feel like it's more appropriate. Like you can still be a little bit like more risque because it's a concert, but you're also not gonna like perish. So that's really the plan. We're gonna make the Stella dress in the kitchen with the loud maximalist fabric. One thing that I'm kind of worried about is that I started talking about this a few videos ago when I was going through my fabric stash, and I was kind of again between those two options, and everybody was like, make the oversized Stella dress, like make the Stella dress, and I'm like, yes, I agree with you. But then one person was like, that fabric doesn't look like it wants to be gathered, and I'm like, oh, wait. So I feel like that is a reality. Now, I do think it's not impossible, but I'm thinking that what I'm gonna have to do is like cut the fabric maybe sideways like this, because then I can use these edges. Like I can use the edges for the like panels that need to be gathered. But the thing is, it's like so much of it needs to be gathered. I don't know. I feel like I can cut around it because like there are ways, if I use this long ways, like there are ways that I can cut around the fabric. Eek. Okay, so that's one thing that I'm worried about. We're gonna have to figure that out. The other thing is that on the pattern itself, like you have the option of like the pattern runs you through using like a serger basically, but I'm gonna be doing French seams. I feel like because it's embroidered, it feels heavy, but I'm gonna probably need it to hold on through this mesh. And I do think that with French seams, like there's a little bit more sturdiness. Like it feels like there's just like a little extra like grasp on the fabric so that hopefully the whole thing is not just like being weighed down. There's like more integrity in the shoulders and like in the waist. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm hoping that that's not something I run into where I'm like, oh shoot, like I really messed this up. So, okay, I also do have a plan B. Like if this doesn't work out, which it will, I have something at home I could wear, so it's fine. But it would be nice. I'm gonna start by putting the pattern together. I am on the floor because sometimes I need a little more space to visualize the pattern. I do have 3.5 meters of this fabric, which is awesome because it's a lot, but it's not very wide. And also this pattern technically is asking that I have 4 meters, and I just don't. Oh my God, the wind. That's okay because this happens to me all the time, and I feel like I truly believe in the expression that 3 yards will get you out of anything, and you know I have more than that. So I'm gonna do a couple of things. I'm probably just gonna make everything a little bit smaller, particularly the tiered skirt. I feel like that's okay anyway because I don't want to gather this too much because it probably doesn't want to be gathered to begin with. And also it is quite heavy, and so if I could just sort of like make the skirt panels a little bit smaller, that I think is going to work out, and you know it wouldn't be the end of the world. So I'm going to do that so that it kind of fits edgewise, and that will take care of a lot. I feel like maybe what I'll also do is make the bodice maybe a little bit smaller because this is on the fold. It's quite large. So I feel like maybe I'll cut down 2 more sizes. Like maybe I'll size down 1 more, or maybe I just won't. I'll leave the bodice the same because I actually do have enough for the width there. So I might not mess with the bodice, and I'll just make the skirt panels a little bit smaller. Oh my gosh, can you see all my laundry over there? Don't look. Don't look, okay? Where we run into some trouble is with the sleeves. Because, I mean, I feel like this is always the trouble that I run into. The sleeves are quite large. This is actually not the one I'm going to be using. This is tier 2. I've already decided tier 2, goodbye. This is going to not have both of the layers of ruffle on the sleeves. I felt like I'd already decided that to begin with because I was already kind of feeling like it wasn't going to look good because of the type of fabric I chose. Like I didn't choose an organza. An organza, I think it could look really cute to have both tiers. But in this particular fabric, I think having 1 tier makes the most sense. So I was already not going to do that. And so now I'm going to use the tier 1, which is much smaller than this one. So that's already good. And I think I'll be able to get 1 sleeve out of the remaining fabric, but then I also will have like a ton of little snippets here and there. So I'm going to have to like kind of try to patch this as much as possible. Like kind of see what I can patch together from all the remnants, and kind of see where I go from there. So I think that the sleeves are a big TBD. I think what I'll do is I'll cut everything out and then I'll see what I have left over. I'll try to patch all that together, and then based on that patch job, I'll decide how big I can make the sleeves, like what I can do with the sleeves, because I could also make them like really, really thin. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I feel confident about the amount of fabric I have, basically. I was a little bit worried at first, but I think it's going to be doable. We're just going to have to improvise a little bit, which is okay. It's part of the game. All right, let's do it. Okay, even though I'm wearing the same shirt I've been wearing all week, it's the next day. I am feeling pretty good about my cutting job because I was able to fit everything. The one piece that I wasn't able to fit was one of the sleeves. But I was able to make it a little bit thicker because I know I'm gonna have to join, or a little longer because I'm gonna have to join these pieces. This is the smaller tier of the sleeve. I know that in the pattern you use the bigger tier as the bottom, but I didn't have enough fabric. Like it just wasn't gonna happen. It was impossible. So I ended up with a shorter tier. I still think it's gonna be look super cute. And then I do have a little bit of scrap fabric left. So If it looks like it's poofing out too much because it's not long enough, I can add like a little ruffle and make it like a little bit longer. And that would be easier because I can patch together a thinner ruffle with the few scraps that I have left. But we'll kind of see. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm not going to plan to do that unless I absolutely have to. So I cut this pretty easily yesterday. I just haven't started because I'm scared. I feel like the fabric is, okay, the fabric is thick in certain parts for sure. And so my machine, if you've been here, like you would know, I have not been treating her in the nicest way. She needs to get serviced. And so the first part is like, okay, is it gonna be able to go through these kind of thicker pieces of embroidery? We'll see. Then, of course, we have the issue with the gathering, okay? And what I've decided I'm going to do is something I've never tried before, which is gathering with floss. So I've seen this on like TikTok and I've seen it on Instagram, and I've always sort of like saved it to like my little sewing tips folder, but I've never used it. And I was thinking about this like earlier this morning. I was like, okay, how am I going to gather this? Like maybe it's time to take out the floss, because I do know that people use this method when they're using fabrics that are a little bit trickier. And the idea is that like you basically sew on a piece of dental floss across the length of what you have to gather, and you use like a zigzag stitch. So you kind of just put the dental floss on top and use a zigzag stitch all the way across it, and then that's going to be sturdy enough to like pull. And it's supposed to make that gathering process easier. I know people use this every time they gather, so it must be something that is cool and works well. I've never done it. We're going to give it a shot. I do think that that might help with my little gathering issues. I also made the panels a little bit smaller, so I'm hoping that like that will mean that I'm gathering less. We'll see. But it's time to just get started. So I'm going to start with the bodice as the pattern suggests. And I'm also going to be French seaming everything. So if you've never done French seams before, it's pretty simple. You just kind of start with wrong sides together instead of right sides. So you do wrong sides together, you sew a very thin seam allowance, and then if needed, you trim that seam allowance down a little bit, you fold it over, and now things are right sides together, then you do your normal seam allowance. And that encloses all of the edges together, and also hopefully creates a little more security for the weight of the rest of the dress. Okay, so there's no avoiding it. It's time to start with the bodice. Okay, let's do a little update here on Miss Dress Form. It's actually going really well. I've been taking my time, so that's also probably something that's helping. If you're somebody who just started sewing, like, take your time. I'm not necessarily a beginner sewist, but I just feel like if you take your time, most of the time, you'll land among the stars or whatever. So here's some things that I've done that I want to show you. The first is that I've been French seaming. French seaming feels like so much math to me, and it doesn't have any math. It's just sort of like having to remember that I put the things wrong sides together, then are they right sides together, and like attaching the sleeve anyway. I was just like, I feel like I keep checking things and double checking them and pinning things and repinning them, which is okay. Again, I'm taking my time. But yeah, okay, a lot of mental gymnastics here to remember all the different parts because the pattern is not set up for French seam, so I have to kind of just add that for myself. However, they are turning out really well. So the whole bodice was attached and has been enclosed. That looks good. I also finished the neckline here. The neckline I did finish with bias tape because it's just one piece, so the front and the back, it's not lined. So there's no way to sort of enclose that anyway else in any other way. And so we used some bias tape there. That also then led me to think, okay, cool, I can use bias tape to finish different parts because I was kind of worried about how I'm going to finish the skirt because the skirt has to be gathered, but there's many different panels, and I'm just like, how do I have like all the panels attached with French seams, because it creates bulk, and then also gather, and then also, anyways, so I might just use bias tape to finish the different skirt panels is what I'm thinking, because it turned out really well. We'll see. I also attached the sleeve, which was interesting because I was trying to do the first iteration of using the dental floss off camera, and then it was like really hard and I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna have to pray to God that like I can gather this using my regular gathering, 2 lines of stitching. And it worked. Like I only did it for the sleeve, which granted is way less gathering than the rest of the garment, but I'm feeling pretty good that I can use regular gathering. So disregard every single thing I've said about gathering so far in this video, okay? If you're watching this, by the way, for some sort of tutorial from an expert, ooh, honey, yeah, just disregard. We're gonna use regular gathering throughout. What else have I done? That's really it. I'm gonna touch the other sleeve right now. Oh, I did French seam this sleeve, so you know I had to put it many different ways, but it's looking really enclosed and really nice in there as well. I'm going to finish the edge of the sleeve with bias tape as well to give it a little bounce. I tried this on. I'm not going to try it on right now, but the sleeve does feel like a good length, so I'm not going to add another ruffle. I'm just going to finish it. It's looking good in this way. So that's really it. I'm going to put the other sleeve. I think that is really like the most difficult part. Oh my God, famous last words. But I do still need to attach the skirt. Honestly though, I'm loving this pattern so far. It's coming together really easily, really seamlessly, and I was very nervous about it. So good job, KS Garner. Fan of your work, and I have been for a while. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, it's update time. I've actually done a lot. I inserted the other sleeve, so that's done. I do have to hem this, so I have to do the bias tape hem. I also attached the top tier. I was able to gather it, attach it. You can see that on this side, you can see the French seam. Obviously it's popping up over here, so I haven't steamed this because the fabric isn't really trying to steam, but I do think giving it a press, like even if it's just like a hot press, is gonna make that go down. But if not, I can top stitch it as well. So I can kind of press it and then top stitch it and just make it look a little more pressed down. So I'm not worried about that. What else? Okay, I also French seamed and attached the tier for the bottom, and I did all of my basting stitches on it. So that's kind of ready and prepped. And oh, okay, also I figured out that like the gathering is actually doable with a French seam, but you do have to sort of do the gathering separately on every panel. So the strings for each gather have to start and stop again at the where like the French seam meets each panel, because this is 3 panels. That is something that I was surprised about, that the bottom skirt is 3 panels, but it's gonna have probably a ton of beautiful gathering and movement, so I'm really excited about that as well. And again, the gathering has been going well. It does take a little bit of time. I have taken a while gathering, because when you get to these parts that are like the deep embroidery, it's like they won't pull that much. So you kind of have to pull as much as you can and kind of pull around it as well. So yeah, I'm going to gather this entire thing, and then I'm going to, oh my gosh, que lindo. This would be so cute as like a veil, honestly. It's a little too much. But yeah, so as soon as I'm done gathering this, I'm going to attach to the bottom tier. And then it'll really be the finishing touches, like finishing the sleeves with some bias tape, and obviously finishing the hem of the dress with some bias tape. But again, I'm having a really fun time with this pattern, and I would say that it is very beginner friendly. So if you are a beginner, this is very beginner friendly. I would say though that actually this fabric was fine. I was worried about it, but this is an accessible fabric because it's not satiny, and for some reason like this little mesh part, when you clip it together, it will kind of stick to itself. So it's not as complicated, I think, as like an organza, because I also have this like organza that I've had in my stash forever. Because I'm like, I don't really like this color. But anyway, so like I was thinking of making this dress with the KS Gardner as like a sample before cutting into this fabric, but I ran out of time. I'm kind of glad I didn't though, because this is very slippery. So if you're gonna use like organza, I could imagine this being a lot more slippery and frustrating. So if you are gonna be making this and you're a beginner, definitely consider a fabric with a little more structure. You can still have like a nice cotton, like a kind of see-through cotton, like you can do a lot. But I would maybe suggest that or something like this that just like actually does have a little more structure. So, okay, let's keep it moving. Okay, this is like so fucking funny. It's not funny, but it's funny. I was just here with you all kind of being like, I'm doing so good. This is going so well, which is so funny because the fuck up that I have committed that I'm about to show you is so insane, and it's such a rookie mistake, and it just feels like the perfect moment of like dramatic irony, you know, of like, oh yeah, things are going so well. I think that is really like the most difficult part. Oh my god, famous last words. And like the audience in the future kind of, anyway, or maybe the audience, dramatic irony is when the audience already knows, right? And it's like the person, anyway, this is funny. I'm showing you all kind of the front because I put this on my dress form and just kind of turn the camera on and I'm like, great, like it looks amazing, cute, right? I then go to work, come back from my work day, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is gonna take me like an hour. It's gonna be like an hour of sewing. I'm gonna finish this thing and then I'll be done. And I'm also leaving to Bogota tomorrow, and then my sister is coming. So today is Wednesday. I leave tomorrow, Thursday, back to Bogota. My sister and my cousin arrive this weekend. And so we are gonna come back. So I'm like, if I have a couple of days to finish this, but I was still sort of feeling confident I was gonna get it done tonight, right? I turn this thing around because I'm like, okay, let me take this off this dress form. What is this? Like, do you see this? It is crazy. I sewed, when I was sewing the French seam in the back, I guess I was not being careful enough, and I sewed it to the bottom part of the dress. You know how that happens because like your machine gets kind of, like your fabric is twisted. It's a rookie mistake. Like the first rule of sewing after learning how to turn on your machine and all of that, in my opinion, is the fabric has to be flat. And if it's flat and it goes through, you've avoided most of your problems. And I don't know, I got so confident, I think, that I wasn't paying attention to that simple rule of like making sure that I only had the 2 correct layers of fabric under the machine, under the needle. And so we're going to have to unpick this entire back part, which is usually not such a big deal because unpicking is part of the gig. But this fabric, as I mentioned earlier, has this mesh on it. And the fabric I used, the thread that I use is black, and I also used a very tight stitch because of the kind of fabric that I'm working with. So it's like a very tight stitch that is over this mesh that I have to be very careful to just unpick the thread and not create a hole in the mesh, because if I create a hole in the mesh, like that is a really big problem to solve. A very difficult one that I've never had to do before. So I don't want to have to embark on that little journey at this moment in time. So I'm gonna be very careful. I'm gonna take this to the couch and I'm just gonna like unpick everything as carefully as I can. I also need to get like the biggest lamp in my house, and like I can't even see, like you don't understand, like I can't even read regular books because I can't see the font, okay? Like, anyways, so no, but I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out because this is part of the process. This is part of enjoying the process of sewing. This is gonna be okay. So I'm definitely not gonna finish this before I leave, but that's okay. So I'll see you on the other side once my sister and my cousin have arrived and I have just a couple days to finish my look before the concert. It is me from the future, maybe like 4 or 5 days in the future. I have been with my sister and my cousin the last few days. I am so hungover today. Like, oh my god. We went on a chiva last night. So like a chiva is this like kind of car, well, I'll put videos, and like it was kind of part historical tour, part like reggaeton party, then bonfire, then we played tejo, which is sort of kind of like cornhole but with explosives. We had so much fun, but I am like struggling. However, it is my last day here before heading back to Bogota, and I have not finished my outfit. So the pressure is on. Okay, I was feeling really good about it. I was like, oh, I have so much time. But the hooliganism got the best of me. I did fix the back though, and that did take forever to unstitch and whatever, but that I fixed before I left. So I feel pretty good about that. I've got the whole base garment kind of completed, and now I just need to attach the bottom skirt, but oh, and finish the like kind of hems for the sleeves and for the bottom of the dress. So not a lot to do. I think it's manageable, and I have about maybe like 2 or 3 hours that I can work on this today. So feeling pretty confident. I also already did the gathering stitches on the bottom tier. So I did a little bit of prep work before I left. I feel like because subconsciously I was like, you're gonna need all the help you can get, girl. So yeah, I'm gonna finish gathering the bottom skirt, attach the bottom skirt with my little French seam method, and then finish the hems and I'll be done. I also hopefully want to include a video from the actual concert. We'll see. But I'm just really excited how this is turning out. Also, my sister is very creative, and she brought feathers to make these sort of like feather crowns, which is also something that people have been wearing to these concerts. So I think that that's also gonna pull the look together a little more full, like it's gonna be a little more thematic that way. I'm also, again, if you've been on my channel the last few weeks, suffering through like the worst haircut known to man. So the other good thing is that my sister's gonna snatch my hair back like into a slick back pony, just like with all the gel in the world, and then we'll put like a little, you know, feather situation, black feather situation, and then we'll do this with like a little bralette and tights. It's gonna be super cute. So I'm feeling really good about the styling. So yeah, anyways, I'm not like the best at styling. I do like accessories, but I feel like sometimes I wear clothes as they're intended. Like I don't have that kind of eye of like, wear this backwards or put this on or whatever. So that's another thing I want to do this week is work with my sister to go through my me-made wardrobe and style it. So anyways, I'm gonna do that. Let's get started. Hello friends, I am back in Bogota and the dress is completely done. I was able to finish it yesterday, so I didn't have to bring my sewing machine. I didn't have to do any kind of last minute concert sewing. The concert is tonight, so I was cutting it pretty close, but I did finish it in time. So I've finished hemming with a little bit of bias tape, which I think looks really cute and kind of elegant. I also did the hem in that bias tape. I was getting so tired yesterday that I was kind of like, maybe I'll just do a rolled hem on the bottom. But I'm really glad I didn't because it looks so much better, even though it did take a little bit more time. But yeah, I did have a phenomenal time sewing this dress. I love it. I already kind of figured out how I'm going to style it. I'm going to show you a clip of that and the concert so you can kind of see. But I'm definitely going to be making this pattern again. It was fast. It was easy. I did make some modifications because I didn't have enough fabric and it still turned out super cute. I do want to make it eventually with the sleeves, you know, with both tiers of the sleeves, which looks super cute. But I'm still really happy with how it turned out, even just having one of the sleeves. So if you're sort of like between making this pattern, but I'm not sure because I don't really have that much fabric, I would still go for it because you can make a lot of modifications and it still turns out super, super cute. I also was super scared with this type of fabric, again, because it's kind of this mesh. I've never sewn with it before. I didn't know if it was gonna gather, etc., etc. And everything was like just really smooth, you know? I think all of the little things that I was worried about worked out in my favor, which I think is a testament to the pattern. I think the pattern is very simple. I also stopped reading the directions for the pattern. I just started kind of like freestyling it and putting it together. I love when a pattern is so simple that you can go for it without having to like watch a video and read. I like those support systems and those scaffolds, but if you have a pattern that's like pretty straightforward and it's still beautiful, I'm like, yes. So I'll definitely be making this again, and I am very excited for the concert tonight. My sister's here, my cousin's here. We're just gonna have a phenomenal time. And I will see you all next time. I've also been sewing through my stash. I'm so excited. I only have like 2 fabrics left in my stash, maybe 3. So I'm definitely gonna get to the bottom of that stash in the next few weeks, which is crazy. If you're interested, follow along, and I hope you're having a great sewing week yourself.